And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive, Friday, December 19th. Almost Christmas. We've only got 4 games today on the DraftKings side, 5 games overall, including the best game. OKC and Minnesota is the late game tonight. But in terms of watching basketball, that's a fantastic option. But we're going to talk about everything that we have for today. For the next hour, DK and I have a ton of time on our hands. We're going to work our way through every single one of these games, but it doesn't end then. Live before lock coming up after this. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. I would be at Josh Engelman. He will be at DK__DFS. Just a tiny slate after yesterday's marathon. How did it go for you yesterday?
Yeah, it was fine. I min cashed, nothing crazy, but I hit on Tyler Kolek, so that was nice. I had a lot of exposure to that Jazz and Lakers game. So I had Keontae George, a relatively low ownership. So nothing crazy, but yeah, solid min cash.
I snuck into like 30 something in the 4-point play. I think I had one in like the 80s too. But my 30, I think it might have been 38th, but I pulled it up on the strategy show today. I had Zaire Williams in the lineup who got 8 fantasy points, and I was just like, I don't know how that happened. Like if that could have just been Jet Howard eventually or something. I saw like it had everything you wanted and just one moron that should have never ever been there on a slate of that size, and I was furious with myself, but that broke free. And then I had Luka to score 45 plus, and he hit it on the nose, which was incredibly helpful.
Nice.
Yeah. Apparently he had 44 for a bit, which if I woke up to 44, I probably would have smashed my phone.
What were the odds on that? 45.
In my mind, it's like plus 380. It was one of the bets that I was using for the bonus bets. So like somewhere in that 300 to 400 range. I think 380, but I could be wrong.
Okay. That's solid.
Yeah. But hit it on the number. Whew. I was watching and I was like, through the first half, I think he had 20. I could be something like that. And I was like, okay, like not the worst pace in the world. And then it started to creep, and I was like, this isn't going to happen. And I just laid down and went to bed, and I woke up, and it was on 45. So I was pretty pumped.
Nice.
Ended up hitting 2 of my 8 split up bonus bets. So came out a little bit to the good on it. I'll take what I can get there. You ready to break this slate down?
For sure. What do you get those bonus bets for again? Because I saw you had like a lot of
it's the FanDuel touchdown jackpot.
Oh, okay.
So I had Chad will tell you, I don't remember the dude's name already. Some dude for the Bucks as an anytime touchdown, and he scored the first touchdown. So it's a split of $1 million in bonus bets, but like 5,000 other people had this plus 500 idiot too. So
was it?
It was $230. Yes.
Yep. There you go. That's a nice.
Is it Sean Tucker? No, that can't be the name. Is it Sean Tucker?
Is it the running back? It's like the third string running back for Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, but I feel like if I had been typing Sean Tucker a couple of times, I would have made a bunch of Sean Tucker must die jokes. It's got to be a different name. But that would have hit me before. If that has been the case,
I'm pretty sure that he was the one that scored a couple weeks ago, and it was like first touchdown.
It is Sean Tucker. Yeah. It really is Sean Tucker. I've looked at that for now a week and a half, and I haven't made that joke in my own head. I'm so embarrassed by myself. Oh,
yeah, you really
that movie was peak me. I mean, that came out while I worked in a video store. Like, I remember that movie so vividly. There's a great little spot where 2 gals kiss in that movie. It's A+. Terrible movie though, just FYI. It is a giant piece of garbage. Man, can't believe I messed that up. Anyway, let's get to the DFS portion of this, because I don't think anyone cares about my thoughts on the movie Sean Tucker Must Die. You do probably care about my thoughts on the Miami Heat against the Boston Celtics. Now, the Heat are 6.5-point dogs. We got the news earlier today. Tyler Hero not going to be playing in this one. I actually thought he was going to be playing. That was unfortunate for me. But we've got bigger fish to fry now for the Miami Heat. Davion Mitchell, late add to the injury report. He is questionable. Andrew Wiggins is questionable. As I mentioned, they're already without Hero, Pell Larson, Nikola Jovic. I assume your lean is that we're not going to have Davion Mitchell, but I'll ask you anyway, and then hit me with your Wiggins thoughts.
Yeah, so with that, again, he was probable, and now he just got downgraded to questionable. So I would say lean out on Mitchell. Wiggins, I kind of lean out too. I mean, back injury, not something you want to mess with. So not like super confident in either of those. I would say a little bit more confident in Davion since we just got the downgrade. But yeah, I would say probably like 70% Davion sits and like 60% Wiggins sits.
Well, that is going to create some stuff here for the Miami Heat. Now, we can just talk about the Miami Heat right now because even with those guys projected in, we have $4,700 Khalil Ware at 60% ownership. He ended up getting the start last night. I did not expect that, and then it happened. Leading assumption is going to be that he does it today, and if these guys start dropping like flies, he's absolutely doing it. I don't have much of an issue with that ownership, but then we also have 25% to Jaime Jaquez, 25% to Drew Smith. Davion and Norm Powell are both at 10. I like Davion if he plays. I don't think he's playing. Let's just start with Ware. Assuming he's in the starting lineup, even if these two questionable guys are in, I think he still looks great.
Yeah, I still think he looks really good too. If the questionable guys are both in, I would keep an eye on the starting lineup. There's a chance they go to the smaller starting lineup and go Fontecchio over Ware. But if one of these questionable players sit, then pretty good chance that Khalil Ware is going to start. And yeah, so looking at his rates on the year, he's a 1.18 fantasy point per minute player. Right now, projected for 26 minutes. That would go up, in my opinion, if one or both these questionable players sit. And yeah, so he's projected for a ton of ownership right now, but I think it makes sense. So keep an eye on the injury news. But yeah, if one or both those guys sit, then I'm way more confident in the minutes for Khalil Ware. He also closed over Bam last game. I mean, they kind of had the game in control. But yeah, we saw 30 minutes for Khalil Ware last game. So that was really good to see.
What is your expectation on next guys up for the starting lineup? Like, if Davion is out, do you think it's Jaquez or Drew Smith? My guess is that it's one of those two guys.
Yeah. So I'm like, they love bringing Jaquez off the bench. So I don't think he's going to start. So I think Drew Smith would start for Davion. And then if Wiggins is out, I think they would go Fontecchio. So I think it would be Drew Smith, Powell, Fontecchio, Ware, and Bam if both the questionable players sit in the starting lineup.
Okay. It wouldn't shock me if they're both out if they just start Jaquez at that point, just because like from a like fuck it, he's gonna have to play a ton one way or the other. If it's one of the guys, then I think that's probably the case. I think if they both go, I mean, it's the Heat. Like they could play Yakashon, they could start Yakashonis today, and I'd be like, yeah, of course they did. I think if they both go, we get Jaquez. But either way, we're going to be projecting Jaime Jaquez for north of 30 minutes, whether he comes off the bench or not, if we lose those dudes. How do you feel about getting to guys like Drew Smith or, you know, I guess Yakashonis, Kashad Johnson? I mean, this is a 4-game slate. So, like, realistically, if we drop those other two Heat guys, this rotation starts to widen a bit.
Yeah, so Drew Smith is someone that like already projects as a pretty good value play, probably going to be around that 20-minute mark. He's about a fantasy point per minute player. If he moves into the starting lineup, if Davion's out, you're probably expecting like high 20s, maybe in the low 30s in minutes. So he's right now, to me, like a good value either way, projected for about 25% ownership. But if Davion gets rolled out and he starts, he's going to be one of the best values on the slate.
Any interesting thoughts here on like Norm Powell if we start losing these guys? Because I mean, he is obviously going to have no problem getting a shot up.
Yeah, so I think he'll probably lead the team in usage. Norm Powell right now, 27% usage rate. Expect that to go up if you start. I mean, you already have Hero off the court. If you take out a couple more of these guys, I think they'll probably be over 30% for this game. So right now, Powell not getting a ton of ownership, about 10%. I think he's still in play right now, but again, if you get one or both those guys out, he's going to look a little bit better. You mentioned Jaquez. I mean, I like Jaquez a lot right now. Even with Tyler Hero out, the minutes are way more secure. In the most recent game, Jaquez played, 29 minutes off the bench. So, and he's going to be one of the primary ball handlers too. So especially if Davion's off the court, like it's going to be like him and Drew Smith. And so I like him right now either way. But yeah, so he's going to look a lot better too if those guys sit. And then like at the moment, not a ton of interest in Fontecchio, but if the questionable players sit, would like him more. And then like we might even have to consider like Kasparov and Kashad Johnson if both the guys sit too. So this could be like a crazy situation where the Heat are like really shorthanded.
I apologize in advance if you did mention this already, but I don't think that you did. Because I know that I haven't really said it. And I don't think that you've said it because my brain's not telling me that I heard it. I don't feel like we've mentioned Bam in any way yet, other than you just mentioning that he, didn't close late behind where 8K for Bam, shorthanded situation here. Completely unowned. He's 3% owned today. Should we be paying more attention to him? And I don't even know if it matters if these dudes are in or not. Like he feels underrepresented today.
Yeah, he's definitely a really good leverage play right now, especially because Khalil Ware is going to be very popular. Not a lot of people are going to want to play both the Miami centers. And so like you're just going to get low ownership on Bam by default. We have some other good center plays too, which we'll talk about. And the ceiling's really high on Bam too. Like I know he didn't close last game, but you could very easily see like 36, 37 minutes in a game like this for Bam. So yeah, I like the call out there. I think he's going under owned in a really interesting leverage spot here on the slate.
Yeah, like obviously you're not loading up Bam in any cash games or anything, but as a tournament pivot, as a way to be unique for a guy that is a legitimate pay up option and for a team that might be like extra special shorthanded. Because if these guys get lopped off, it's not like Bam's going to go from 3% to 30 anytime soon. Like he's going to be low owned no matter what's happening here today. And I think that's one of those spots where you can kind of get just a hair different if you need to. You got anything else you want to add here on the Miami side?
I think we covered that pretty well. This is a team that looks good. And again, if both these guys set, this is probably going to be your best team to get to on the slate.
So the other side of this one, we're not really waiting on anything. This is kind of just like standard issue Boston right now. And that is tough to parse. 30% ownership to Pritchard and Brown and Queta, 25 for Derek White, 15 for Jordan Walsh, Simons, Minot. Do you have someone that just stands out for you for Boston? Or is it just one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I'll probably have like one or two of these dudes pretty regularly. I don't really know which one it's going to be.
Yeah, so this is a good spot here for Boston. Right now, ownership kind of spread out on the main guys. I don't have like a super strong take on the top three. That's going to be Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White. I think all three of these guys are pretty good plays, all in like the 25 to low 30% ownership range. So I don't have a ton of strong takes there. I do like Queta. He's getting about 25% ownership. So he got extended last game. He tends to get extended in games where the opposing teams have a pretty big front court. And especially if Miami starts to double big. Like, I think this is a game that you could see Queta play over 30 minutes. He played 34 minutes against the Pistons. And he's coming in right now at a reasonable price point there at 5.5K. So he is someone that I like a good amount. I think he's one of the better center plays on the slate.
I get Queta a lot. Like for some reason, he's one of those dudes that like I disproportionately play. At this moment, he is in 60% of my lineups. So I am already very much team Neemias Queta. I'm also, at least as of right now, team Peyton Pritchard at 6,500. Now he is the most owned guy here, realistically the highest optimal, although he's basically tied with Queta. But I've got a pretty solid stand on Queta and Pritchard. And with this matchup, with the pace that Miami plays at right now, that's to me advantageous for getting to Pritchard. And I do think based on having the double bigs, we probably do see a little bit more of Queta. Do you want to flip a coin between Jaylen Brown and Derek White?
Yeah, to me, it's basically the same as far as interest level in those two. Obviously, I think the ceiling's higher on Jaylen Brown. I mean, the role for Jaylen Brown's been amazing. The usage is great. The minutes are great. The price point has come up on him, but like we're seeing in competitive games, this guy's pushing like 40 minutes. Like he's played 40 minutes now in 2 of the last 5 games, played 39 minutes against Toronto. So they are really giving Jaylen Brown a lot of run. And again, running the offense through him. So, and then Derek White, like he's finally got out of his shooting slump, finally starting to shoot a little bit better. We've seen 55, 46, and 45 feints points in 3 of the last 5 games. We talked about that a lot early in the season when he was struggling with the shot. So, yeah, like I like both these guys a good amount. Don't have a super strong lean on which one I prefer, though.
Well, let's keep it moving. The other 7 o'clock start for today, the Philadelphia 76ers. They are on the road, taking on the New York Knicks. The Knicks are on the second half of a back-to-back. Philly is without Joel Embiid today. Stop me if you've heard that story before. Paul George, 6,900, about 30% owned. Andre Drummond, starting center, allegedly at least, 10% owned, as is VJ Edgecombe, as is the returning Tyrese Maxey. Outside of Paul George, there is not a lot of ownership coming into Philly today. Feels weird to me. Kind of like these guys.
Yeah, it does feel like they're going a little bit under-owned, especially with Embiid out. So expecting Drummond to get the start here is 5,800. I think he'll split the center minutes with Adem Bona, but obviously Drummond, the better point per minute guy of the two. I think if Drummond avoids foul trouble, you could definitely see him play over 30 minutes. We saw a stretch when Embiid was out where Drummond was averaging like 35 minutes per game. Now, I don't think you project that, but I think it certainly is in the range of outcomes. And yeah, so I think Drummond kind of an interesting GPP play at a center position that we do have a lot of good plays right now coming in about 10%. You mentioned Paul George. He's the one guy getting a lot of ownership right now coming in about 30%. I think that makes sense. Doesn't look like he's on a strict limit anymore. We've seen 32, 33, and 33 minutes over the last 3 games. He's been pretty aggressive looking for shots, 17 and 21 shot attempts in the last 2 games. And obviously the potential assists are solid too. He's kind of like the secondary playmaker right now behind Tyrese Maxey. So I totally understand why he is getting some love. Outside of that, Tyrese Maxey, I'm intrigued by for tournaments right now, projected about 10% ownership. So he missed like the last week due to an illness. The only concern I have really is maybe there's a chance that they'll limit him in his first game back because he's been out for over a week with that illness. And limit for Tyrese Maxey would probably be like 36 minutes. Yeah. But yeah, still someone that obviously has a very high ceiling. The rest of the team, like Edgecombe, I think is a fine last guy in, 6,400. Should be in that mid-30s minute range. Project about 10% ownership. That makes sense. Adem Bona, I think, is viable in a large field tournament. The downside is he's not a great point per minute player. The upside is he's only 3,100. And if Drummond gets in foul trouble, it's most likely Adem Bona coming in, unless they try to go some small ball. But I think Bona would definitely get a bump there if Drummond does get in foul trouble. So he's a little bit interesting. I think it's tough to make the argument for like Grimes or Dominic Barlow on this slate, though.
I'd be surprised if they wanted to go small here. I think they're dead in the water if they do. Like they could try to switch everything. I think that ends up being real problematic in this spot, given everybody in for New York. This is just a team that I look at and I'm like, Knicks on this second half of the back-to-back, still coming down on like guys are like definitely not healthy for the Knicks. They're still coming off of like a little bit of a hangover from the NBA Cup. I feel like Philly is in like a very unique and interesting spot to, because like this is what, 3 games in 4 nights for the Knicks?
Yeah.
And the first one was super high leverage. Yesterday, missing some dudes. Whether it's Drummond, whether it's rolling the dice on Maxey, those are 2 pieces that I'm like more interested in than it seems the field is right now. I like these guys as tournament options. BD going right back to Kolek. He could pay off at 4K and still no McBride. I got a real tough time wanting to get to Tyler Kolek today, given what this slate is. And the whole world apparently has a tough time getting to the New York Knicks today. The highest owned Knick is 6.5% owned Karl Anthony Towns. So if Philly looks underrepresented, it's hard to say that the Knicks don't. At the same time, I am nervous about these guys. But if Karl Anthony Towns is 6% owned today at 8,900 power forward center in a matchup without Joel Embiid on the opposite side, I would like to have Karl Anthony Towns. Now, I don't think he's healthy, but I can't let that go.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. Like, again, Cat got banged up in the NBA Cup final. Oops, sorry. Someone was trying to call me there. Yeah, so he got a little bit banged up. He didn't look healthy. Obviously, he missed last game, but he's probable. And agree, like in a spot without Joel Embiid, this is a smash spot against a Drummond and a Dembona. And he's sub 9K, not getting any ownership right now. So I really like the ceiling on Cat. The minutes, maybe a little bit of concern. Like, I do think Brown's going to scale back the minutes a little bit on the starters. Like, we saw a lot of these guys pushing like 40 minutes in the NBA Cup. I think we're probably like going to get like low 30s minutes from Cat, assuming no foul trouble. But even then, like, I still think the ceiling is very high on him. So, yeah, he feels like he's going overlooked right now on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he's about to get guarded by Dom Barlow. I have to assume that Karl Anthony Towns looks at that matchup and thinks like, yeah, I'm in. Give me that. I just like 8,900, and the fact that you can put him in a power forward is just so appealing here. I got a cough. Do you want to do anything with the rest of these Knicks though? Because that's where I'm having trouble getting interested here.
I think it's kind of hard to get to the rest of the team. Brunson, I think they'll be a little bit cautious on his minutes on the second night of a back-to-back. Wouldn't be surprised if he's in like the low 30s minute range. The wings are priced up a bit from when they were getting that minutes bump in the NBA Cup. I expect them to run a little bit of a deeper rotation. Also, like Tyler Kolek and Jordan Clarkson were playing really well off the bench. So I do think we're going to see a bit of a deeper rotation here for the Knicks. You have Mitchell Robinson back as well. And so I think it's tough to get to Bridges, Hart, and OG. Not saying you can, and Brunson, not saying you can't play these guys in large field tournaments. But for me, I think it's probably a situational pass. And I think really it's Cat, and that's about it.
I can't help myself on this. Did you happen to see the animated Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns video that's been making the rounds?
I don't think so, no.
All right. Are you familiar with what Hart did to Brunson after the NBA Cup?
The old thumb up the butt?
Yeah. So I don't remember who, I shout out to whoever is doing these animations and like pseudo filling in for the lack of Game of Zones. So it's basically about that. And Towns is there just like begging Josh Hart to try it on him.
That's good. No, I did
phenomenal, dude. Just go to Twitter. You'll find it quite quickly by searching the terms you need to search. But it's fantastic.
I saw someone mention in chat about Donovan Mitchell not tweeting it. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. I have a take, but I kind of lean that he's not going to play right now.
Yeah, the takeaway here is not that Josh Hart is a weird dude. The takeaway is that Josh Hart is hysterical. That is, I have never known an experience more than watching that happen between, like, that just lets me know how good of friends they are. Because they've unequivocally been doing that to each other. Well, Josh Hart's been doing it to Jalen Brunson for 10 plus years. Mm-hmm. It's the best. I love it so much. Shout out Josh Hart. All right, we're through 2 so far. We're going to keep this one moving because there is a ton to talk about. San Antonio Spurs, Atlanta Hawks. Spurs in this one, 3.5 point favorites. Is interesting. Everybody's available for today. Second half of the back-to-back, they did not struggle in their scrimmage against the Wizards yesterday. 17 minutes out of Wemby. A decent game out of him, too, in those 17 minutes. 40% ownership coming into Dylan Harper, who I'm nervous DraftKings got his price stuck. Devin Vassell is 25% owned. Castle is 15. It trails off from there. I have felt the same way about Dylan Harper on Tuesday as I did yesterday, as I do today. He looks very clearly like the best San Antonio Spur.
Yep, we're in agreement there. Like, the role is just really secure right now for Dylan Harper. He's coming off the bench, and he's that high usage playmaker. He had a 29% usage rate last game. The game before that was like 22, but like on the season, he's about a 26% usage rate guy. Probably expecting around 25 minutes here. And it's a pretty good matchup. So he's projected right now for 40% ownership, but I think it makes a ton of sense. I think right now he projects as one of the better values in the slate. Maybe we'll get some better value depending on what happens with one of the questionable players we'll talk about in a bit. But right now, yeah, I agree. I think Dylan Harper looks great. Like he's getting a ton of ownership, but I think he should be.
The rest of these Spurs are where it gets a little dicey because they've got a lot of dudes that can be in the rotation. I'm nervous about a 25% owned Devin Vassell, but this is just a function of a 4-game slate, a mid-tier price tag, and a small forward position. I'm permanently nervous about Stephon Castle, especially as Dylan Harper comes on even more and more. De'Aaron Fox is $7,900 today. Should we be more interested in an unowned De'Aaron Fox? He feels like he just feels like point guard Bam today.
Yeah, he's another one of those like really interesting leverage plays because like Dylan Harper is projected for a lot of ownership, obviously much cheaper, and like the price point has come down on Fox, but like he's not getting any ownership right now. So the minutes are obviously the concern, I think, for De'Aaron Fox. Like the minutes have ticked down on him over the last 5 games, 30, 31, 37, 32, and then 25 minutes. He played 37 in that game against Oklahoma City in the Cup semifinals. So, you know, there's a chance that like, at least we know that like mid 30s minutes is in the range of outcomes for De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, I don't think you project him for that, but on a small slate, like right now, project for 2% ownership. Like if I'm MMEing, I would definitely want to be overweight to that, just because like the price points come down. It's a relatively high total game, and he still is a guy that has a pretty high ceiling. So yeah, I like him as a contrarian option.
Yeah, it's the same exact situation as Bam for me here. Like he just feels more interesting on a 4-game slate than the public ownership is implying that he is right now. Can you justify Wemby in any way?
So I don't think so. Not on this slate. He played 17 minutes in a blowout last game. I think probably expecting like around 20 minutes or so for Wemby. And while he's going to be super productive in those minutes, like the last game, he had a 41% usage rate. I just don't think I can do it with some of the other spend ups that we do have in the slate. So while I expect Wemby to be super productive in those minutes, no, I don't think I can get there. Talking about the rest of the Spurs, you mentioned Devin Vassell. He's like someone I'm indifferent on. The price point, he does feel a little bit underpriced at 5,300. So I think he's a fine option at about 25% ownership. Stephon Castle at 7,400, around 15%, has been lead the team in potential assists. Minutes have been decent, averaging like low 30s or so in competitive games. So another reasonable play. Looking at the value for the Spurs, I think we'll probably get better value, but Luke Kornet is fine. He's 4,200. We'll most likely play the non-Wemby minutes. Maybe they'll overlap a little bit. You know, we saw that a lot earlier in the season when Wemby was starting, that like Kornet and him would overlap a bit. And so like he's a reasonable value. Again, it's tougher to get to him though because he's only center eligible, relatively high opportunity cost. And then the likes of like Harrison Barnes, Champagny, and Keldon, I think are pretty tough to make the argument for on this slate.
Yeah, I think those are just like, if they're the last guy into stuff you build, it's not all that surprising, but you're just hoping that like whichever one you picked is the guy that like wins the minute game and gets the extra couple because he made a couple threes or whatever it is. Because those guys, they've got a lot of like interchangeable parts now, and it becomes really difficult to guess the proper part that you want. Yeah, I'm as of right now, I've got a ton of Dylan Harper. That's not going to go anywhere. Just holding hands with the field on Vassell. No real stands anywhere else, and I share your sentiment on Wemby. It's a little too early. We're getting dangerously close to a day where it's like, yeah, well, he might just play 27 today and we don't know it yet. And I want to be early than late. I don't think it's today. I also don't think that it's going to be in their next game when they get to face the Wizards again. I bet they baby him a bit or don't need to because they beat the shit out of the Wizards. Either one of those things are very possible.
Yeah, I think probably like 2 games from now will be the game where like maybe he pushes like high 20 minutes.
Well, let's sneak it on over to the Atlanta Hawks, because this is a spot that we have a ton of ownership coming in. See, shorthanded Atlanta Hawks team once again. No Trae Young for this one. I kind of got the feeling he was going to play today just because of how little he played yesterday. It just felt like, oh, they might actually just do this. Well, they didn't. And without Trae Young today, they only have 10 guys. So, like, Jalen Johnson is 10K, power forward eligible, no Trae Young, and 50% owned. And I think that is absolutely correct. No problem whatsoever there. But it doesn't stop there for Atlanta. I mean, we've got close to 40% ownership on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We've got 20 more for Vit Krejci, even 10 for Okongwu, Risa Shea, Dyson Daniels, Luke Kennard. I think we can get Jalen Johnson out of the way pretty quick. I'd be surprised if you don't like him.
Yeah, no, Jalen Johnson looks great here. Even with Trae Young in last game, like he still had a really nice role. So Jalen Johnson had a 35% usage rate in that game with Trae Young. He had 15 potential assists. So the role is great on him. Like looking at the year with Trae Young off the court, he's got about a 27% usage rate and a 34% assist percentage. So right now he is projected to be your most popular spend up on the slate, but I totally agree. And obviously a great rebounder as well. So yeah, I have no disagreements with that ownership. I think right now he looks like your top overall spend up.
Yeah, I'm right with the field. And I don't really see that going anywhere. Just no Trae around on this slate with that position, filling up the stat sheet. That's just going to be a spot that I'm going. I've got 25% of Krejci. I am a little bit lighter on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which honestly surprises me, given the price tag, given the position, but still a guy that I'm getting to. Don't have much else here for Atlanta, which concerns me at least a little bit. It feels like one of those value pieces is probably a little bit more interesting today, but they really do just lean on their main guys so much that it might be tough to squeeze out any value from the bottom of Atlanta.
Yeah. So when they are shorthanded, they do tend to run it pretty tight, expecting like 9-man rotation. But I guess Nickeil is the next guy you're looking to. He's projected to be pretty popular, but 6,800 does feel a little bit too cheap. Has guard forward eligibility. Should play mid-30s minutes. Like even coming off the bench last game, Nickeil still played 34 minutes. So he looks like a really good point per dollar play. Totally understand why that ownership is there. Okongwu, I think, is interesting for tournaments, especially if Wemby, especially with Wemby being limited again. Little bit of a better chance that there's no foul trouble for Okongwu. Right now, only projects about 10% ownership. So I like him as a contrarian center play. Again, though, high opportunity cost because he's only center eligible. Vit Krejci at 3,900, I think, is a reasonable value. So in competitive games, it usually is Vit Krejci closing over Ricochet. In blowouts, they usually go to Ricochet. This game obviously projected to be competitive. So would assume that Vit Krejci does close this game unless he's really, really struggling. So I think he's a totally fine value play. Again, we might get some better value opening up. But right now, guard forward eligible, 3,900, I think is totally fine value play there. Ricochet at 4,200, a bit tougher to make the argument for. I think I would just rather get to Krejci over him right now. It's not like either of those guys are super popular too. And then I do kind of like Dyson Daniels as a contrarian play, sub 10% owned. Should be that secondary playmaker behind Jalen Johnson. He's a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways. Obviously can get those blocks and steals. And I think this is a game that you could see Dyson Daniels play like 38 minutes. So I think he is going a little bit overlooked right now for Atlanta. But all in all, this is definitely a good team to get to without Trae Young and obviously without Porzingis.
There we go, folks. You know what else is a good thing to get to? The Tails app. And that link is in the description of this video. You could subscribe to guys like DK on the Tails app. He's going to be handing out winners left and right. But if you download the app, none of it costs you anything. It is totally free. If you're looking for bets, parlays, pick'em cards, DFS coverage, we are creating a central repository for it. And we want you guys to be able to check it out and check it out easy. You could follow anybody you want for free. You can follow me. You can follow Greg. You can follow Laffy. You can follow Ben. You can follow DK. You can follow all of us. Anything that we put out on the free picks feed, you are going to see it. You can one-click tail a bet immediately if that you so desire. Maybe you find somebody that has been giving out winners for you pretty regularly and you see they have a paid package. At that point, you are free to sign up for that package if you want. DK in particular has what I'm talking about. If you want to go that direction, you can. Otherwise, I think it's a great resource, and it's getting bigger and bigger every day. It will help us out a ton if you download the app, if you leave a rating and a review. We have a couple days left before we get to Christmas. We're still in shot of getting to 1,000 ratings by Christmas Day. And you guys are the ones that could help us to do that. So if you click the link in the description and sign up, again, this will cost you nothing. And all you're going to do is get more information specifically curated for you. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. So click the link. I haven't touched on any FanDuel yet. I'm going to do that right now. Just overview of the top of the ownership table. 6K. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is currently sitting at 70% owned, and we agree with it with an optimal rate. We're going to get to Cleveland in a second. 50% ownership for Jared Allen and Darius Garland. No, sorry, 60% ownership for Darius Garland. 45 for, I can't even read. 60 for Jared Allen are the words that I'm trying to say. 45 for Darius Garland. 40 for Pritchard. 40 for Jalen Johnson, where he's 10,600. You've got Jaime Jaquez, Derek White, Neemias Queta, Khalil Ware, all in the 30s. This is where we stand at the top for FanDuel. I've been waiting to show this because of what we're about to talk about right now, which is the fourth game of the day, the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, typically, I start with the road team. That's not what we're going to do right now. We are going to start with the home team, Cleveland Cavaliers, for one reason and one reason only. There is a Q tag out there right now on Donovan Mitchell. DK, care to expound on your Donovan Mitchell thoughts for today?
Yeah, so I do not think that Donovan Mitchell is playing. I'm sure if you guys have watched the streams, he religiously tweets every time that he's going to play. And I was looking back at the times, and the latest for a 6 o'clock Central game was like 3:30. And so, yeah, we're now within 2 hours of game time. And so I am pretty confident that he's not going to play. Obviously not a guarantee, but right now, yeah, I do not think that Mitchell is going to play. We didn't get any news on shoot around, which was weird. The last game we did, multiple beat writers reported about shoot around, but nothing. There are no reports on shoot around, and so really
they might not have had a shoot around today.
You could be. Well, actually, one of the beat writers was talking about Sam Merrill, and so I think they did, but there was just like no mention of anyone else. So
I could see a scenario where they didn't have a typical day today. They played at the Bulls on Wednesday. You know, you travel back Thursday. You don't prep the same way in this home and home set. I could see them having like a more muted walkthrough on a day like this.
Yeah.
But either way, he hasn't tweeted it.
Yeah. So right now the lean is that he doesn't play. Obviously, like I said, it's not a guarantee, but that would open up a ton of value for Cleveland. Should we talk about this first as if he's playing, or how do you want to?
Yeah, so right now we've got 30% ownership coming into Darius Garland at 7,200. I liked him a ton 2 days ago. It doesn't change here. I think he looks fantastic whether Donovan Mitchell is playing or not. Similarly, I think Jared Allen is quite interesting at 6,200, 23% owned. We saw this a couple days ago. It's always a good matchup here against the Bulls. If Mitchell is playing, I am very happy to get to Garland and to Allen in this spot. Any specific thoughts for either one of those guys?
Yeah, I think those two are the easiest to get to right now, assuming everyone is in. Garland at 7,200, really solid role. Obviously, usage bump without Mobley. Jared Allen, the only issue with him is the minutes, but could see around 30 in a competitive game. Obviously, pretty good point per minute, and it's a good spot against the Bulls front court. So those two, I think, are totally fine. I think the rest of the team would be tough to get to if Mitchell's in. I think Mitchell himself, if he plays, would be a pretty interesting tournament play, sub 10% owned. Obviously dealing with an illness, but still a guy with a very, very high ceiling. So yeah, if he's in, I think mainly it would be Jared Allen and then Garland. Like Jalen Tyson should start again. He would be fine if Mitchell's in, but again, he would be someone that would look a lot better if he's out.
So let's talk about the scenario of
Mhm.
if he is out. Who do you think
Yes.
starts in Donovan Mitchell's spot?
So I'm pretty sure they would start Lonzo Ball. They've done that in the past. And so I'm pretty sure they would go to Lonzo, um, Darius Garland, Tyson, Wade, and Allen. It seems like from the coach's comments that they want to continue to bring Hunter off that bench as kind of the six man, like high usage guy off the bench. So, yeah, I think they would start Lonzo, Garland backcourt, and then keep the front court with Tyson, Wade, and Jared Allen.
And if that's the case, we're going to be giving Lonzo Ball a couple extra minutes at that point. He's going to go from a 6% owned guy to a 30% owned guy if that ends up being a start for Lonzo, especially with the MPE. Other trickle down effects do we have here? Does this become Craig Porter Jr. Day? Does this become Naquan Tomlin Day, Tyrese Proctor Day? Who's the cheapie that benefits?
Yeah, well, we still have to keep an eye on Craig Porter Jr. He
Also
is
true.
questionable unless we got that news.
We haven't. We also have a Q tag on Luke Travers.
Right. So, yeah, also, guys, for the betting market, too, it is moving in favor of the Bulls. It's 5.5 now. That was 7.5 like 10 minutes ago. So, not a guarantee, but pretty good indication that Mitchell's not going to play.
For reference, I have it at 9.5 with Donovan Mitchell in. So if you're looking for another data point that's pointing us towards it, there's one.
So if Mitchell is out, then I think Lonzo's going to start and become one of the better values in the slate. We did see Lonzo, it was like 3 weeks ago, I want to say. Yeah, it was 11:24. He picked up a start. He played 34 minutes. I mean, he played 32 minutes on 12:14. So, like, the minutes ceiling is there for Lonzo. He's no longer like on a strict limit. And so if he gets the start, I think you could very easily see over 30 minutes from Lonzo. Now, he has struggled. He hasn't really looked great. Hasn't really been shooting the ball the best, but still about a fantasy point per minute player. And so if you give him like close to 30 minutes, he's going to project as one of the better values in the slate. So he's going to look really good. You're going to get a usage bump. And for Darius Garland, I think he's going to become one of the better point per hour plays in the slate. Doesn't really affect Jared Allen too much. So he's kind of already just a solid play. And then two other guys, too. You're going to get a lot more usage for Jalen Tyson and DeAndre Hunter. Tyson at 6,300, I think that ownership would rise. And then DeAndre Hunter, I know he's really been struggling, but if Mitchell sits here too and there's no Mobley, like this is the get right game for DeAndre Hunter. So those two usage wise would look a lot better. Again, Dean Wade wouldn't really change much for him. And then if Craig Porter Jr. plays, I think he would be an interesting value play because I think he's a decent point per minute player, would play the backup point, and would be a solid value in my opinion. If he gets ruled out too, then I think you're probably looking to Tyrese Proctor as the backup point at 3,200. And I think he would be in play for salary relief.
And not to mention, like, Darius Garland's always one guy stepping on his foot away from not being able to finish a game. So it does make me feel a little bit better about some of those backup guards for Cleveland. But in this moment, we are waiting for the news. Realistically, we don't have to get this for another hour and 15 minutes. So this might come right at the moment that Greg finishes up live before lock. That might happen. So you're going to want to be here all the way until 7 p.m. because we don't know when this news will pop up. But it is going to change things quite a bit. But we still have one more team to talk about. So hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. We got to make that number climb a bit more, guys. We got to make the live before lock crew feel important when they get here. You know who doesn't look important in ownership? The Chicago Bulls, who are topping out at 9% ownership to Josh Giddey. Ayo Dosunmu is back. These guys are essentially at full strength for what we know of them right now. Do you want any individual Chicago Bulls pieces today?
Yeah, so this is a tricky team because they're basically fully healthy. They've been running a very deep rotation too. And so, like, right now, projecting the Bulls for 11-man rotation. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if like one of Jalen Smith or Patrick Williams get booted from the rotation, I think that those are like your odd guys out, like 11th and 10th guy right now. They've been running a lot of that two center lineup with Jalen Smith and Zach Collins. But since like everyone's healthy, I think one of those guys could get booted from the rotation. If not, then it's probably a spot where like they're just going to spread out the minutes. Like right now, the only guy projected for over 30 minutes is Josh Giddey. I think he's the preferred option right now, around 10% ownership. Reasonable price point. Price points come down a little bit. Obviously, again, you have like everyone back, so the role's not going to be as good, but still a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways. Like he had a triple-double last game, so he's still a guy that has a very high ceiling. So I like Giddey as a contrarian play. I think Kobe White is fine at 6,900, probably going to get around 30 minutes. Don't have a ton else to add there for Kobe White. So I think those are really the only two guys I'm looking to. Vooch, I know the price point has come down. It's still tough to get to him. It seems like they want to play Zach Collins and obviously Jalen Smith a bit. And so that just really kind of caps the minute ceiling on Vooch. And he's only center eligible. So even though he's low owned, I think it's still pretty hard to make the argument for him. I think I'd rather get to some of the other contrarian centers that we mentioned on this slate. And then like, I think it's almost impossible to get to like Booz Ellis or Trey Jones. Io, I think they'll be pretty cautious with his minutes in the first game back. I guess the only other guy I think I would look to probably would be Isaac Okoro. Not because I want to play Isaac Okoro, but because of the price point, 3,500. You did see in their most recent game, I want to say he pushed for 30 minutes. So he played, 31 minutes in their most recent game. Yeah. So he would probably be the only other guy right now that I would consider for Chicago.
I've got a bunch of Giddey, which has been a story of me lately. So he's kind of like my contrarian pay up option. And then the only other guy that I have with any sort of substance is Isaac Okoro. I think it's just a lot of position, a lot of price here. I'm a little nervous now that Dosunmu's back. They are a little duplicative in terms of, well, like Ayo Dosunmu's just Okoro with a slightly better skill set. But like for the thing that Okoro is out there to do, he wasn't going to lose out to anybody else that was there until Dosunmu got back. That's the only piece that scares me a little bit more today, but I am going to him for value because it's small forward, and that seems like a very reasonable way to punt. If he's going to be 7% owned and like Devin Vassell's 25, I can shave some ownership there and not feel too bad about it. But how do you think that Chicago changes for you at all if Mitchell is out?
That's a good question. I don't think so. Do you think there's any change for them if Mitchell's out?
I feel a little bit better about Giddey just because they're like more likely to win the game. Yeah. But like realistically, they probably need Isaac Okoro less.
Right.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, not really. And it doesn't matter now. Donovan Mitchell out. You get your stuff handled?
I got that in about 20, 30 minutes ago. So, have a lot of Cavs props. No, my luck, though, Bulls are going to come out and win by like 30. So,
yeah, probably. So there we go. Donovan Mitchell not going to be playing in this one. He was not, in fact, able to let us know. So there goes old Donnie Mitch. It is 5:50. We've still got a decent chunk of time before we end up getting to NBA Live before lock. I'll go ahead. Not that this is going to be updated in any way, but just on the Cleveland side here, we're going to see Darius Garland's ownership rise. He's just naturally going to take on more usage, more ball handling opportunities. He's 30 now. It's probably 40 and change by the time we're done. Allen will go up ever so slightly. I don't think it's going to be like the biggest impact in the world, but it will rise. Tyson should rise a hair. DeAndre Hunter should rise a hair. I think Lonzo is probably the guy that goes up the most, currently at 6% owned. I assume that's at least in the mid 20s by the time this gets updated.
Yeah, I think it might be higher than that, to be honest.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. If you told me it was in the 30 plus, like I certainly believe that. It's definitely going up to like way, way, way more owned territory. That's for sure. I mean, we're going to redistribute like 34 minutes, 33 minutes through the rest of these guys. And it's not they're not exactly drowning in a bunch of bodies. And we still have to wait on the Craig Porter Jr. news because that is like really important now.
Yeah, because if Craig Porter Jr. is in, like he's firmly in play at 3,400. I think he's going to be a guy that probably gets like 10 to 15% ownership. But yeah, if he's out, then I think next guy up is Tyrese Proctor at 3,200. So like we already have a lot of value for Cleveland, but there's going to be a punt play here, whether it be CPJ or whether it be Proctor.
I'm trying to like redistribute some minutes right now, and holy balls, it's still just so many more to hand out. And there's just some people that like I very clearly don't think are going to get out there all that much. We've bumped up Tomlin. If I take Proctor to 11, give me 1 second. I think I have like a non-rate adjusted version here. I want to see how point per dollar wise Lonzo looks relative to everybody else now. So the highest point per dollar guy we have in Craig Porter Jr. ruled out the moment I redo it. So now things are even crazier for Cleveland today.
Yeah. So
that's like, oddly enough, that might even be bigger than the Donovan Mitchell news.
Right. So we already talked about all the starters. We talked about Hunter. I think Proctor now is firmly in play. And honestly, I think Naquan Tomlin is in play at 3,300 too. Because I expect the rotation to be the starting five, which we talked about. Hunter is the sixth man, Proctor backup point, Tomlin backup wing, and then Thomas Bryant as like the backup big. So I think that's going to be your 9-man rotation for Cleveland.
It's going to be a 10-man rotation.
You think they're going to play Travers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's played 11 minutes twice in their last 10 games. He played 9 minutes in one of the games. Like, he's going to get out there for a rotation, I would imagine. He's just another body that like complicates matters for the Tomlin Proctor duo.
Right.
I hope he don't play. That's for sure.
Yeah, it would be nice for me if he doesn't play and they just run a tighter rotation.
I would definitely prefer that. Okay, this should be done right now. So for me, without touching a single rate, if I just look at value, Tyrese Proctor becomes my number 2 point per dollar play. Tomlin becomes number 3. Lonzo for me ends up going to 6th. So I mean, we're just going to start seeing like a pretty sizable chunk of additional Cleveland ownership. Projections updated. Shout out to Rich in chat right now, just letting us know, hey man, I got you guys the goods. It's already there. So updated projections already here. Darius Garland now second highest overall value play. By the way, he was 5th for me, and that was without touching a single rate. So not surprised to see this. Lonzo in 27 minutes becomes the number 3 value play of the night. Jared Allen jumped up quite a bit there. We do see Tyrese Proctor at 5.5x. Naquan Tomlin is visible on the screen at 5.3x. We have a lot of value now in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think Cleveland's definitely your top team to get to on this slate. I would say Cleveland, and we're still waiting for Miami news. So this could be a crazy slate if both those Miami guys get rolled out too.
For a 4-gamer, it's starting to get a little weird, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite Cleveland play now?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the guy that I feel best about is Darius Garland. But if we're talking like value, probably Lonzo, assuming he starts.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting what the ownership difference is, assuming Lonzo starts with like Lonzo and Proctor. Because if you get a situation where like Lonzo's like 6x the ownership of Proctor or something, then like I'm going to be a lot more inclined to take the shot on Proctor. So I'm curious to see like where the ownership is on those two.
Well, DK, guess what I can help you out with? Lonzo Ball, 50% owned at this moment. Slight negative leverage coming from our side. Proctor, 18. Tomlin, 17.
Okay. So
I think I like DeAndre Hunter the most.
Yeah, I mean, let me say, I had to refresh it again. So yeah, Hunter does feel a little bit underowned.
Pretty sizable positive leverage so far on Tomlin, if that's the lean you have.
Yeah, Tomlin solid as well. But yeah,
Ooh,
overall,
Lonzo
I mean,
revenge narrative too. I didn't even think about that again.
True. But yeah, overall, like the ownership is crazy on this team. But like it makes sense. Like you take out your two highest usage players in Mitchell and in Mobley. Great matchup against the Bulls. And yeah, so overall, this is just a team that you're gonna need a couple pieces from, I think, at least.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with the reverse question now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like the least here from Cleveland?
Okay. So looking at ownership, I think for me, it would be Jared Allen. Right now, projected for 50% ownership. With Donovan Mitchell out, like it doesn't really change his role, in my opinion. And so I think he's going a little bit over-owned. I don't think they're going to run like a ton of offense through Jared Allen. And so, yeah, like I think I would rather get to Jalen Tyson at less than half the ownership of Jared Allen, if that's going to hold. So I'm not saying Jared Allen's a bad play, but it feels like he is going a little bit over-owned right now.
It does feel a little high. I do love the scenario, though.
Yeah.
Because Garland and Allen are linked together on this team. Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell are a pair. Darius Garland and Jared Allen are a pair. So, like, I do like that combination of the two. If they're allowed to just run their shit together, they're one of the better, or at least, heading into this year, they've been one of the better pick and roll combos in the league for a while now. I don't know if this version of Darius Garland and this version of Jared Allen are that, but I agree with you in that that's the one that feels most tenuous to me is the Jared Allen piece. Right. Especially in this, like, they are shorthanded. So like, I feel pretty comfortable with him being out there, but I don't know. He's been an odd duck so far this season.
Yeah, it's a scary fade, obviously, because I love targeting bigs against the Bulls front court. But I just don't really see the minutes ceiling for him. Like, I would be pretty surprised if he plays like low 30s minutes. I think like maybe 30, 31 is probably the ceiling for his minutes. And so he's going to have like a pretty big game at that ownership to really kill me in those minutes. So if it burns me, it burns me. But yeah, I think right now he's probably my least favorite of like the guys at the top.
I'm going to hop over to the Chicago side just to see what kind of impact we've seen there. And it's they're less owned now. So I'm going to end up being like 50% over the field on Josh Giddey.
Andrew Wiggins out.
Ooh.
And I don't see anything yet. We're probably going to get the Davion one in a sec.
Wiggins out. Tick, 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 tick. Put that news on the screen because it is NBA live before lock time. Greg Ehrenberg is here. Chris Spags is haunting me in the darkness right now, but none of you guys know what I'm talking about. Terribly, terribly creepy visual. Just creeping in the dark, Chris Spags right now. But we got the news here. Welcome, 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 live before lock crew.
Yeah, we got Spags here to tell us a scary story. He is he's toughing out some difficult weather, and also he's homeless now. But all these things, Spags is here nonetheless to break down some NBA DFS and go over some of the injury news that breaks as we come here, weird starting lineups. Do us favors, you guys come in here, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Josh and DK, thank you guys very much. I do have to ask you, Josh, before you leave, because this is something that I have been quite invested in today. What happens in the Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua boxing match? Because I feel like that is something that you are interested in.
This is very, very easy. That match is going to go just like Chris Spags' situation right now. And Anthony Joshua is going to shut his lights off.
I hope so. Ideally, because I'm trying to get orders filled on Kalshi. I got ridiculous odds. I'll send it to you on him to win by KO round 3. Not because I'm like at all interested. It's just like
I've bet a bunch of individual rounds as well too.
Yeah, I'll text this to you right now. I'm curious to see if you got odds better, worse, or comparable to this. But I'm trying to get orders filled throughout the day here. That's my main mission.
Yeah, I don't see any scenario where Anthony Joshua doesn't win the fight. And so long as Anthony Joshua wants to win the fight, I think he puts him to sleep. I don't understand how he wouldn't. Now, I want to be like, it's not like Jake can't knock him out. Like, I don't think Jake is much, but he is an actual athletic big dude. If he hits him, it can matter. But I don't think it matters. I think Anthony Joshua is just too damn good.
Well, I just text you. I'm trying to get more orders filled like this, posting on the exchanges. But yeah, tell me what you think of those odds that I have right there.
Dude, you got to be kidding me, man.
Like I said, I'm not particularly married to the outcome. It's just I can't believe people are filling orders on these odds.
Look, that's a testament to the entire American educational system because we just have a sea of morons betting on Jake Paul today.
Yeah, so I'm doing my best to make some money on this event today, and yeah, I think that Anthony Joshua is going to win today. You could also get him on exchange anywhere from like minus 550 to minus 600 for him to win. Also, if you take the no side, just general betting advice for people, if you are on things like Polymarket or Kalshi, if instead of just betting Anthony Joshua, if you take the no side on Jake Paul, if he pulls out before the fight or there's a DQ or a draw or something like that, then the no side also wins. So there's extra leverage if you really think it's going to be rigged in some kind of weird way.
Well, you guys enjoy your meeting of the Midnight Society. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here.
All right. So, guys, it is time for NBA Live Before Lock. We've got some data updated here for us to talk about. And a lot of this is going to focus on the Cleveland Cavaliers to start, and then we'll look at some of the other news that's broken as well, because in addition to the scenario that we have going here with there being no Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs, also no Craig Porter Jr., Andrew Wiggins was just ruled out for the Heat. We've still got Davion Mitchell questionable, so I think it makes sense to start with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Spags. And then if we get, because the Heat news, we could address Andrew Wiggins. I would like to get an update on Davion Mitchell. But let's start by talking about the Cavs. And maybe by the time we get through them, we'll have some kind of update here on the status of Davion Mitchell. But let's start here on Cleveland. We've got no Donovan Mitchell today. We've got no Craig Porter Jr. either, which typically wouldn't matter, but it matters today when we're trying to figure out who the value options are going to be from Cleveland. But what immediately stands out to you about our projections or Cleveland in general, sans Donovan Mitchell today? Because you look here, Darius Garland now nearly 70% owned.
Yeah, I mean, so I hope my connection's okay enough, guys. The upload is like the worst part here. But yeah, winds crazy in the Philadelphia area, no power. So that is why I'm not homeless. In fact, my wife has been very supportive throughout this process here. She brought candles down. We're locked in as best we can. But yeah, basically for this situation, I've been preparing, like if you don't get Mitchell, Darius Garland is borderline a lock button play. I mean, the projections from Stochastic 43 looks pretty good. I would have him closer to 45, 46, maybe even 47, depending on the rates you give him. But he was already a guy that looked pretty good because of no Evan Mobley, and he's had about a 33% usage rate with no Mobley, 43% assist rate. So I think Garland, to me, Greg, is the most lock button-ish play for a guy who's about 7K. So I guess starting there, are you with me on Team Darius Garland, or are we trying to get cute and fade him?
Nah, I'm going to be Team Darius Garland. I guess it depends what you mean to, like what extent. I have to rerun Sims as more and more information comes out, but I had 80% of him in my last run. So it's funny, 80% of him, it's marginally overweight to the field, but it's also one of these scenarios where he projects so well. I don't think he's actually going to be 70% owned. He's probably going to be like 50% owned or something like that. And also, by the way, this is still, if you guys watched the NFL Live Before Lock last night, Spags has a better setup going than what I had on the NFL show because my computer died in the middle of NFL Live Before Lock. It was the most bizarre thing ever. So my computer was basically a brick, but my audio was coming through for some reason. So I can't see anything. And my computer just beeped at me like R2-D2 for 30 minutes. And my face was still on screen, but I was frozen. So believe it or not, you don't even have the worst setup that we've had on one of these shows in the last 24 hours. But I've got a new computer coming to me for tomorrow. So don't feel bad about that, Spags.
No, I mean, look, it's not ideal conditions, but you guys know it's an NBA DFS slate. We still have to care. We still have to try hard. And there are no replacements available either, much like for your computer. We just got to show up and do the work.
Yeah, so Spags, toughen it out to make sure that he gets all of the NBA information over to you guys. And yeah, Darius Garland certainly is going to be somebody who stands out a ton. He's my most rostered player as of right now. The other piece of chalk coming out of the Cavs, let's filter here by the ownership. So here's what we got on our most recent run. Garland just under 70% owned. Lonzo is 46% owned. Jared Allen's 43% owned. DeAndre Hunter, 27% owned. Jalen Tyson, 25% owned. Then everybody else, relative to a 4-game slate, not quite as popular. So here's what I know from you, Spags. Let's go through all of the different tiers of players from the Cavs. I think Garland, he's in a tier of his own just based on ownership. Then you got Lonzo Ball and Jared Allen, who are also both very popular, although not quite as popular as Darius Garland. Do you think the ownership on Allen and Lonzo is warranted, or do you think either of them are overowned?
I mean, I think the Allen ownership seems pretty appropriate, given that you could give him around a 40-point projection. I don't think that'd be that crazy. But Stochastic has a more reasonable 36. I think that's a decent number for sure in terms of getting the ownership, half the field being there. I don't have an issue with it. I think Lonzo looks decent as well. But I would say to me, it's Garland a tier above, then it's Allen, then it's Lonzo. I think Tomlin, Tyson, those guys playable. But the big three, Greg, for Cleveland, I think is where you want to be the most. Garland, Allen, Lonzo would be what I would define as the new big three for Cleveland.
Yeah, that is one way to define the Cavs. So I do have way more Garland, like I mentioned, than any of these other Cavs. Jared Allen, I am currently my last run. I came in a little bit overweight to the field to Allen. I came in a little bit underweight to the field to Lonzo. I actually don't love that I came in underweight to the field to Lonzo on that run, so I'm going to rerun stuff. I still had a good chunk of him. I have him in 40% of lineups, but I actually want more of him than the 40% I got on the last run. So I am definitely going to be making some updates to my exposure to Lonzo, either by force or just will happen naturally as I do more updates here. But totally understand why both of them are chalk. If you guys are playing cash games today, you better believe all three of these are going to be in your cash game. You want to have Garland, you want to have Lonzo, and you want to have Jared Allen in your cash game lineup for today. Now, let's talk about everybody else on the team. Are there any lower-owned Cavs players that you think either the field is missing out on or just somebody who you think has high enough upside that you want to be playing just more in general?
I mean, I think Proctor would be the obvious one here where, obviously the Vegas total for this one doesn't seem like it's indicating anything bad for Cleveland at all. I mean, I assume the line's going to move a little bit more, but Cleveland's still a favorite from what I pulled before the show. But if things get weird here, if Cleveland calls off the dogs, which kind of the availability of so many guys not being here seems like they could. Tyrese Proctor, I feel like would be a guy that should have more upside, 3,200, and he's certainly direct leverage on Darius Garland and all the ownership going there. And Tomlin, too, I think is another guy who can contribute in every category, can rebound a little bit, get some shots up. Sure, shooting on the year is not great, but close to league average. So I think like Tomlin and Proctor, if things get weird, those guys probably have the most upside. And Proctor, even if Garland gets in foul trouble, he has to be on the court.
It's Tomlin for me. Not only is his first name Naquan Tomlin, he's got a very fun name to say, so that's a benefit if he has a big game. But also, if you just look at our projection on Tomlin, look at our point per minute projection for him, 0.94. He projects as a good fantasy point per minute guy. It's just his minutes are a little more suspect than some of the other players here. But I do think there's opportunity for Tomlin when he's on the court. And once again, just referencing these per minute rates, Tyson's a 0.98 fantasy point per minute guy in our projections. Lonzo, 1.02. DeAndre Hunter, 1. Proctor, 0.87. Dean Wade, 0.71. Tom's at 0.94. So he is closer to Tyson, Hunter, and Lonzo Ball. Obviously, on a per minute rate, Garland and Allen, they're in a totally different tier. But Tomlin's right there with Tyson and Lonzo Ball as a point per minute guy. He's ahead of Proctor. He's ahead of kind of the other riffraff on the team. It's more just what are his minutes going to look like? And I don't know what they're going to look like for Tyrese Proctor, some of these other guys either. So with that in mind, if I want to take a shot on a lower owned guy who isn't all that expensive, give me the guy who at least project to do the best on a per minute basis out of all the guys in our data.
And Tomlin's been a guy that's, been a starter for Cleveland before. I mean, and he's actually taken minutes away from DeAndre Hunter, who, I mean, it seems like that shouldn't be the case, but they like Tomlin. And again, he's a hustler. Like, he's one of those guys, not a hustler in that he's out on the street, trying to sell you any wares. That's what we always think of when we hear hustler. But he is a guy that out there will chase down some peripherals, will do some stuff that I think bodes well for pretty cheap guys. So, I mean, really, I think for the Cavs, it is kind of a choose your own adventure, but the chalk is the chalk for a reason for the team.
Yeah. So as far as the rest of the guys go, any super crazy, it's kind of hard to say you're taking a super crazy shot because kind of everybody's pulling some semblance of ownership on the team. So like Tomlin's the guy who I'm saying I'm taking the crazy shot on because he's 18% owned, but I recognize he's not crazy low owned or anything like that. It's just none of these guys are all that low owned on a 4-game slate. They're all pulling some kind of ownership. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about with the Cavs, whether it's like Dean Wade or something else that I hadn't thought of.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, obviously, anytime you see Dean Wade, Thomas Bryant being entirely unknown and the rest of the team at least having some ownership, there's like theoretical upside there. And Wade in particular has closed games with like the legit group too. So, I think Wade always has some merits, but I'm with you. Like, I don't think those guys are coming up for a reason, even though it being a short rotation, like if you want to go that way and be really unique, you can.
Yeah, so that's kind of all we've got for the Cavs here. I also want to show you guys the ownership on the Cavs over on FanDuel, and then we'll talk about the Heat situation. But here's what we got on FanDuel. It's filtered by the Cavs. Keep in mind, a little bit different because the late game is included in the FanDuel slate. It is not on the DraftKings slate, but ownership over on FanDuel, 76% to Jared Allen. He's only $6,100, and he's got power forward eligibility in addition to center over on FanDuel. So he's broken. He's broken over on FanDuel. You can play him at power forward and center, and he's really cheaply priced. Darius Garland, he's 70% owned on FanDuel. Lonzo is just under 50% owned. Hunter's 42% owned. Tyson is 37.5% owned. Then you got Dean Wade, Naquan Tomlin, Tyrese Proctor, Thomas Bryant. None of those guys pulling ownership. Same sort of deal for me over on FanDuel, probably even more so. You get Tomlin at 6% ownership over on FanDuel, Spags. That's my contrarian play over there, too.
Yeah, I mean, Tomlin definitely not the highest optimal rate, but it is higher than the ownership at 6%. So, like, I think that certainly makes sense, and having the flexibility there probably is a positive. But yeah, like to me, Garland is still like the key play, and Allen's still the number 2 play. I think Lonzo less of a factor on FanDuel. It just seems like he's a little bit overowned. But like the big 2 is the big 2, and the other guys, I agree. Similar dice roll kind of opportunity.
All right, let's look at the projections that we have on the Miami Heat. And then also, we'll get to your guys' questions, anything that is outstanding in Discord. We'll hit on that in a second. Just want to make sure we address all of the pertinent injury news at the top here. So for the Miami Heat, there is going to be no Andrew Wiggins tonight. He has been officially ruled out. However, that might not be the only injury information we have. Davion Mitchell, he is still questionable. And then keep in mind, you got Tyler Hero out. Pelle Larson's out. Nikola Jovic is out with the elbow injury. And then Terry Rozier, he got into a little bit of a kerfuffle if you didn't hear about. So he remains suspended for the entire season and probably for forever. But you got a Miami Heat team that is going to be already a little bit shorthanded. I do tend to think, Spags, I don't know if you have any kind of take on this, but Wiggins ruled out. Mitchell still questionable. That leads me to think Mitchell probably a little bit more likely to play than sit if they already went ahead and ruled out Wiggins. Maybe it means that Mitchell is like really 50-50 and they're truly going to see how he feels when he's warming up. But my best guess is that he plays at this point. I don't know where you stand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, and this is like totally anecdotal, but like if we're talking about who's a gamer on a back-to-back, is it Wiggins or Davion Mitchell? I would say it's my boy Davion Mitchell, as Josh would give me too much credit for him being my boy. But like, I think like he's the kind of guy that playing on a back-to-back, I would be surprised if he didn't. So yeah, I think him being in, if he's not in, it's going to throw another curveball in. But Wiggins being out, along with Hero being out, and obviously you have your Larson tier of guys out as well. Jovic helps out Khalil Ware a lot. He looked good. Like I'm a little bit questioning of the opportunity against Boston on the back-to-back, a fresh Boston team who did not play yesterday. And Miami's like a really compelling team with Wiggins out now.
By the way, just to clear up any confusion, because I understand where this could be confusing, we're talking about Davion Mitchell right now. Donovan Mitchell is out. Davion Mitchell on the Heat, still officially questionable. I saw some people in the chat say, no, Mitchell's out. Different guy that we're talking about right now, but could totally understand how that could create a little bit of confusion. Davion Mitchell on the Heat, still questionable. Donovan Mitchell on the Cavs has officially been ruled out with an illness. So here's what we're looking at now on the Miami Heat guys. Let's filter by the Heat. And for Miami, we have ownership going to Khalil Ware, 67% owned. Jaime Jaquez Jr., 22% owned. Then you got Kashad Johnson, you've got Norman Powell, you got Drew Smith, and Fontecchio, all just over 10% owned. And then as of right now, everybody else fairly low owned on the team here. So what do you make of the ownership on Ware to begin? Because that's a hefty number here, Spag, 67%.
Yeah, I mean, Ware was a guy that last night I had a lot of exposure to because I think the price tag worked and the situation against Brooklyn worked. And he went for 50 fantasy points. So, like, anybody out there that is just kind of checking box scores, picking guys, like, they're going to go to Ware as probably their first pick. He would have been too cheap normally at 4,700 with Jovic out, with Hero out. But now you add Wiggins out, too. It's just hard to imagine them moving away from his minutes. And he's been great. I mean, this is something that dawned on me when I was doing my stream this morning. He's averaging the most fantasy points a minute of all the Heat players. He's averaging 1.23. Bam's at 1.21, Powell's at 1.2 rounded up. So, like, Ware's been awesome, and now there's less barriers for him. Boston's a tough team, though. Like, they're not going to brick shots like Brooklyn did yesterday. But, you know, like, they'll still give him a lot of opportunity, and certainly Ware, Ware's been good this year. Like, I've been impressed by Ware a lot, yesterday being, you know, the apex of that so far this year.
Yeah, Ware's had kind of an odd come up because he was not in the rotation at all to start last year. And then because he has so many athletic talents, I don't know if you remember this last year, Spags, but he played like 4 games as a starter and he moved from like 80-1 to win Rookie of the Year to like minus 150 because it was a weak Rookie of the Year class and just started decently. And then he kind of turned into the inconsistent Khalil Ware player that we know of now. And he pretty quickly went from like 80-1 to minus 150 and then all the way down to what was he, like plus. By the way, is my computer fucking up again right now? Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. There we go. For a second, my screen turned off and then it came back and I was like, oh, no, not again. But anyway, so Khalil Ware, anyway, there's a wide range of outcomes with him. He's been kind of all over the place as a real life player. I always get uncomfortable when he's this popular, but I'm about to rerun The Sims and see what kind of exposure I get to him. Clearly in cash games, you want to play him. In tournaments, you want some semblance of exposure to him. I'm not totally positive where I'm going to land on him relative to his ownership right now, though.
I mean, I'm definitely high on Ware, and some of the Sims I ran, you know, with my projection, which is a little bit higher than Stochastics. Earlier today, I was getting him in like 90, quite that much for me. But if he's in 2/3 of my lineups, I think it's worth it. I mean, he just shouldn't be 4,700. Like, he should be 6K. I think 6,500 probably a little more appropriate if we're like pricing him fully accurately. So I am team Ware, even though he is like, he and Garland are going to be, you know, 2 of the mega chalk plays on the slate.
Yeah, so I'll see where I end up with Ware when I do my next update here. And then hopefully at this point, Davion Mitchell just plays because I'm kind of annoyed with doing these updates here for today. It's a 4-game, well, it's a 4-game slate. Really, we still have to do the nonsense where we do a bazillion updates. Did you see Sham's report today?
Which one?
So there is a, due to betting, there's going to be new NBA injury report guidelines. Teams are now going to be on game day. Teams have to submit a new injury report every 15 minutes.
Oh, so is that better for us or worse? Like, where does that land?
I don't think it makes a difference because now it's, if the information was accurate, it's still, the issue is never, they submit it hourly right now. The issue has never been that, hey, we don't have enough injury reports. We get one we get one every hour, at the 30 minutes. You get one at 1:30 Eastern time, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. That's never been the issue. The issue is that the information on the injury report isn't accurate. So the question I have is, cool, they have to submit them every 15 minutes on game time as opposed to every hour. Does the information have to be accurate or just have to submit the same bullshit to us every 15 minutes now?
Yeah, that's probably a good point. I mean, I guess maybe you'll get slightly more accurate updates for like that 1:30 window. Might be like, oh, you get a 1:15, 1 o'clock instead. But yeah, that doesn't seem the most helpful. To me, the most helpful thing would be like, all right, cool, we know who's in and out by the time all the games start. And like, you got to make your decision early. But even then, you would get guys that get hurt in warm-ups, and you can't really control that. And that's been a major issue a few times this year.
And that one's, to me, that is a way easier issue to solve than people make it out to be. Just start the games on time. what happens there, and people have heard me bring this up before, is it's not that players get, I mean, it is that players get hurt in warmups, which there's no way to, if somebody rolls an ankle in layup lines or dunking, there's no way to make it, hey, how do we make it so that players' ankles are indestructible in the 10 minutes leading up to the start of the game? That's not really what the problem is here. The problem is that because the games start like 9 minutes after they're supposed to tip off, you find out that a player got hurt in warmups before the game starts, but after it's already locked for DFS purposes, because in NBA, I don't know why, maybe NBA players, boy, there's a lot of stereotypes here. Maybe NBA players, like, is there some way that we could just have it so that the games start right when they're supposed to start? Like, what's holding us up here? Can we, if the game's scheduled for 7, we start at 7? It's not an issue in baseball. It's not an issue in football. Basketball, it's impossible though.
Why do you think that is? What do you think is different about the NBA that might be leading to that, Greg?
I don't know. Golf tournaments seem to start on time.
Hockey goes off.
Yeah. No, so
Anyway.
I think it has something to do with the NBA TV deals. I think it has something to do with that, because there's no way this is insolvable in basketball, but every other sport could just start on time. It's insane.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's probably something with like commercial breaks and whatever. And like, yeah, like I agree. Like football, I think is the most like, yeah, that's kickoff is going 1:01 p.m. East Coast time on a Sunday. It would be better, like, but it is weird because it is kind of missing the forest from the trees for like Adam Silver, who's been so, solution oriented. And it's like, yeah, to start the games on time and you probably solve half the issues. But this is a funny bit. This is the kind of bit that gets us in actual trouble because I don't have power to that.
Yeah, Spags completely in the dark here because his if you guys did not hear at the top of the show, his power went out, but he is plowing through with us and keeping the show going here despite the late power outage here with some bad weather in the Northeast. So let's see what kind of questions we have from you guys. Any other injury news that comes up as we go, as per usual, we'll be talking about it and bringing it up. But questions from Discord, we've got, let's see, I'm going through I'll read this off, Spags, because I did this bit the other day where I just read some of Eric's notifications I get on my phone from his Discord channel. I don't know if you're in his Discord channel, but it's, you get because now I'm trying to sort the customer questions with the notifications I'm getting from Eric's Discord channel, which is from Eric at everyone, Andrew Wiggins out, harness my nipples and cut glass with their sharpness. I get these updates from Eric multiple times per day.
Is that like, are we doing a bit right now, or is that an actual quote from our sweet Eric Lindquist?
I promise to you, I would text it to you, except I don't know if that'll shut down your entire operation to get a text right now. But I 100% promise this is a real message that Eric sent out in his Discord. Anybody, I'm sure we have people in chat who are a part of Eric's Discord channel that can validate that this was an actual message that he sent to everybody in his channel. And there's been a bunch of them over the course of the last few minutes. So I'm trying to navigate what's a question from a sub that I got a notification from and what is Eric talking about his nipples, because these are both things that are coming across my Discord at the same time. But Coach DFS wants to know, who are the good GPP pivots off of the chalk? So Spags, I think this is a really interesting talking point now that we have some real established chalk for this slate. Who are the GPP pivots? I've tipped my hand with one of them. I think one of them is Naquan Tomlin. I think that he is for sure one of the guys to get to on the Cavs, lower owned. But if we're really talking about leverage options, I mean, the super popular guys on the slate, it's primarily coming from Cleveland. You've also got Jalen Johnson, who's popular. That's more so because, well, number one, he's been ridiculous this year, but there's also just a lack of spend-up options on the slate. But there isn't like a real clear pivot off of Jalen Johnson. So then you're looking for a leverage play. It either has to be somebody from the Cavs or a leverage play off of where. And so then I just start to look at the lower owned guys from the Cavs, and it's Tomlin. But I don't know who you consider to be leverage for today.
I mean, the most direct leverage, and I feel like, not to give away the Eric Lindquist recipe for the nuke of the night, but sometimes it's just who's the direct backup to the chalk. So, like, if somehow Garland tears his ACL in the first quarter, Tyrese Proctor's probably going to have a great day, or Lonzo Ball. So I feel like one of those guys would be your most, like, direct leverage. Do I think that Darius Garland is going to tear his ACL in the first quarter? No. But, like, that's sort of, the kind of way you can make that work a little bit better. And I also think, too, like, again, Cleveland's got a pretty good team total on them. Like, they're not not going to get blown out by Chicago here or anything, even with the injuries they have. They're still 4.5-point favorites. So I don't think, I tend to not think of things in like the leverage play quite as much. Like the most direct leverage is always like, who's splitting 48 minutes? If one guy's chalk, play the other guy. I don't really think there are any guys that are chalk on the slate like that, unless there's somebody I'm missing.
Yeah, not really, because first it's a 4-game slate, so the chalks are just the 2 injury spots that are obvious, and then you've also got one clear top spend up option. Jalen Johnson less. Is there a spend up option other than Jalen Johnson you prefer for today?
No. Also, we did just get it through the chat. Got it before I saw it on Twitter. Tyrese Proctor likely to start Friday, so that's different. That's a different 2-guard build for Proctor picking up a start. I did not expect that at all.
No, neither did I. So this will be, we just got the report there from Chris Fedor. I think it's pronounced Fedor.
Fedor Emelianik. Oh
yeah. Fyodor. If he goes really Soviet with the pronunciation of his name, if he's Chris Fyodor. But yeah, so we're gonna have to do another projections update. And then everything that I have built out is, as per usual, totally defunct and not relevant. And we will bring it to you guys what that starting lineup looks like for our projections when it comes through. But what are your initial thoughts on Proctor starting?
I think it's definitely good for Proctor. I do worry it's one of those situations where it's a guy who would have more usage in the second unit. I think they're probably going to segment him. He would have to start over Lonzo, right? Like that would be the way that would work, because they wouldn't start Lonzo, Garland, and him. So like Lonzo off the bench would be my guess.
By the way, also, this is actually going to be simple. Davion Mitchell has also been ruled out. So now both the Mitchells are out. That is going to clear us from some of the confusion that was in the chat earlier. But so that's what I am, unless they're going with some crazy small lineup, I'm presuming that the starting unit is Garland, Proctor, Tyson, Dean Wade, Jared Allen.
Which I think would make sense. I guess against the Bulls, you could go 3 little guards if you wanted to, but that'd be crazy. Yeah, I assume it's Lonzo off the bench then. He's your pivot to Proctor if he gets ownership. Proctor is so cheap. He's not like an awesome producer. He's producing 0.79 fantasy points a minute, but about a 20% usage rate, 16% assist rate. Like that'll play. I think it would play better off the bench though, as opposed to like he's going to be watching Darius Garland a lot tonight, and maybe Allen, maybe Tyson a little bit too.
Yeah. So let's see. Do we have? Also now we've got the Davion Mitchell also impact for the Miami Heat. So let's talk about Davion Mitchell being out for Miami really quick, and then that will probably give us a little bit of time to get the official update on Cleveland in terms of the projections and the ownership. But on the Heat side of things, we are now taking Davion Mitchell out of the mix, and we had Mitchell projected for, where do we have? And we had him in for 32 minutes. So we got 32 minutes to allocate out to other backcourt players for Miami Heat here, Spags. Keep in mind, there's also going to be no Andrew Wiggins tonight for Miami. What do you think this is going to do for them? Are we going to see a ton of minutes going to Jaime Jaquez Jr.? Is Drew Smith going to play 30 minutes today? What all of a sudden stands out to you as far as the Heat go?
I think it would be Drew Smith getting the big boost in minutes. He is the best defender here. He is a guy that has failed miserably as Heat chalk before, but he's been producing 0.96 fantasy points a minute on the year. So I think he is still a decent play if he does pick up that start. But you do have Kasparas, and Greg, you might know how to pronounce the name better, but I think it's Jakusionis. I haven't heard anybody say his name out loud before. But he got back in the rotation finally after being, a top Heat draft pick. So he could be in the mix, but I think Drew Smith gets the biggest minutes boost. If I had to guess, he might go like 1-to-1 minute swap for Davion Mitchell.
By the way, also a guy we've projected fairly well, 0.91 fantasy points per minute in our projection. So if we're going to be giving Drew Smith at $3,800 now, somewhere close to 30 minutes at 0.91 fantasy points per minute, then, you're looking at a guy who could be projected for 25, 26 fantasy points. I agree with you. I think Drew Smith starts to look really good under that consideration, Spags.
Yeah, it looks like we just got a projection update, so I'm going to pull this stuff in and see how that moves stuff around. But yeah, I think that Drew Smith would be the one I'd assume would start. Again, it's possible they do something weird here, but the good news is we're going to know it's before lock because they are starting at 7. So This is such a curveball slate. Like out of all the days, Greg, where you have a computer that's dying in front of us, I have no power. I don't know if Alex is going out. She's got a party tonight. I'm gonna be with Luca with no power. It's like, this is awful. I didn't need this today. I needed like a simple slate where nobody gets ruled out.
Yeah, that never ends up being the case. The NBA injury reports are being like, we'll ease off to be convenient to you. That's never how these things go. But we do have the projections update, like Spag said, and this is pretty close to what it was. You and I were just saying about Drew Smith, $3,800. We now have him projected for 29 minutes. That puts him in for a projection of just under 27 fantasy points. So he looks great at $3,800. I'm interested to see what his ownership is in a few minutes when that ends up coming through. And let's see what we have now for the Cleveland Cavaliers with Proctor now expected to start. So for Cleveland, let's see, what does this do? All right, so a couple of things. Lonzo is in for 25 minutes. That puts him at 24.86 fantasy points. Lonzo's still very much playable on the slate, but he is not going to be a core option for me anymore, Spags. At this kind of, he's a guy. He'll be in lineups, but he's not going to be in like half my lineups or anything like I thought he was going to be before. Tyrese Proctor, $3,200. We now have him in for 21 fantasy points, 24 minutes. So something else that I think is worth noting here is that a 24-minute projection puts him at 21 fantasy points. And if you ask me, is Proctor more likely to play over or under 24 minutes? I think he's probably a little bit more likely to play over. Like, I think it's a reasonable minutes projection we have on him. The point that I want to make is that I think there's more upside in his playing time than downside relative to his projection at 24. So Proctor looks like a very great value option as well at 3,200, which is not going to be surprising to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, obviously getting the starter at that cheap. Like, I mean, I played Mohamed Diawara yesterday because he was minimum salary and got the start for the Knicks with them being shorthanded. So, like, Proctor's a guy that at least I know can fill it up a little bit. You don't have the push-pull of Craig Porter Jr. there. You do have Lonzo, who, like, definitely could close over him. But, frankly, with Lonzo at this point, it might be a thing with them just trying to keep his minutes limited. Like, he did start a few times when you've had one of Mitchell or Garland out. And then, that hasn't necessarily resulted in playing the best. So that could be the reason why you're getting Proctor starting here. But definitely it's a risky spot. Like, I agree that Lonzo has to come down a lot in terms of your ownership. But, like, if you play more Lonzo in lineups without Proctor or more Proctor in lineups without Lonzo, there's probably a push-pull there. Neither guy's going to take minutes away from Garland would be my guess unless things get real weird.
And we've got an ownership update now as well. So I'm on the FanDuel side right now. Let's read off the most popular players on FanDuel now, given the latest update. It is Jared Allen, 77% owned. Garland, 70% owned. NAW is now 62% owned. Khalil Ware, 50% owned on FanDuel. Jaime Jaquez, just under 50% owned. We got Jalen Johnson, 45% owned. Tyson is 39% owned. Where's Proctor? Let's see. Proctor is only 16% owned over on FanDuel. Okay, I like that. And then let's see where Drew Smith is on FanDuel. He is 14% owned. He's a little bit more popular more expensive on FanDuel though at 4,700. So I understand why he'd be a little bit lesser owned. Let's see DK. All right, for DraftKings now. I assume Proctor's going to be more popular on the FanDuel side. He is, 38% ownership going to Proctor now. I totally get that. Lonzo has come down to the point where he is now 20% owned on DraftKings. All right. That's a little bit more reasonable there. Let's see the Miami Heat guys. We've got Ware at 78% ownership. Jaquez just under 40% owned. Drew Smith, 31% owned. Norman Powell, 20% owned. Any of these numbers stand out to you in any kind of meaningful way?
No, I mean, I think that this is about where I would have expected it to be. The Ware number is getting pretty aggressive, but I think it's deserved because he is pretty good. But again, it's against Boston. Like, it is one of those spots where he's not really a big foul prone guy. But he is still somebody that is a big going against guys that'll drive the lane and can kind of bait him into foul trouble. I think that's there. I'm surprised Drew Smith isn't a little bit higher. Like, I feel like he, to me, is a very obvious value play. Field's been burned by him before, but that wouldn't stop me from going nuts on him. I think he's going to be a guy when I rerun stuff, I get a ton. Heat looked great, though. Like, it's a really big pace down for the Heat, but now it's totally balanced out by missing so many bodies that are in the rotation.
Yes, so we did get the starting lineup for the Heat, and it is true. They're going with a starting lineup of Powell, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, and they are starting Yakuchonis tonight. They are going with Yakuchonis, and I put John Daly's message because he spelled it Yakuno Ju Momo Nonis is how he put it in there. Which that's about right. I'm fairly sure it's pronounced Yakuchonis. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, but I'm just doing my best, and a lot of times my best is not very good when it comes to pronunciation, Spags. So if I'm being totally honest with you, I don't always understand he's got multiple accent marks in his name. Those are always tricky. I don't know. Like, even I took Spanish in elementary school, middle school, and high school. But then I'm like, how come there's a tilde over a C in his name? Like, what this one, there's like a smiley face or one of the other letters. But I heard them on a broadcast once say, at least I thought I heard them say Yakuchonis. So I think that's what it is. But I'm sure somebody will be in chat to correct me and say that I'm incorrect there.
That's funny because, like, literally that was the thing I was looking at. I'm like, he does have like a letter, like a little symbol over the C. And it's like, I don't know what that means. I think that means the ch sound, right? But I thought the CI is the ch sound. So it throws me for a loop. But yeah, he's not pretty. I mean, he's only played the one game, right? Like, or has he played more than that?
So we have got what would have been the total stats for him this year. He has played in 2 games. But yeah, he's played a total of 9 minutes this season. His first game he played in, which was December 1st, he played 1 minute. And then the last game he played in, which was yesterday, he played 8 minutes. So if we are going to assume that he plays 8x more minutes each time we see him, that means he plays 64 minutes today.
Yeah, he's a lock then, because he'll be on the court for more minutes than he could possibly play. He'll fill in for some other guys. I mean, he's only produced 0.69 fantasy points per minute, but he also hasn't notched a single rebound. Underlying usage and assists seem like kind of just a guy, but he's minimum salary. I feel like he's worth 10% ownership no matter what.
Yeah, let's see what we had. This is all going to get updated shortly, and this is going to be very, oh boy, we had him projected as a very poor fantasy producer, 0.67 fantasy points per minute. So we previously had him in for 21 minutes, which had him at 14 fantasy points. Let's say now that he's starting, let's say we put him up to 28 minutes. Like, you're getting he's cheap enough to where he's going to be playable. But because like how opinionated are we going to be on a guy who's played 9 minutes the entire season? This is where I'm going to really lean on what our projections say about the per minute output of a guy. And yeah, we've got him at 0.67 fantasy points per minute. He's cheap enough where he's going to be in play. I would be stunned if he shows up in like 70% of lineups or anything, though.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that, you know, he is a guy where the draft capital's there, and this is more of an NFL thing than an NBA thing. Where, like, in the NFL, if you get picked high, they're going to force feed you touches to the point where, like, you can't fail. But for the NBA, like, he's 20th overall pick this past year. I think he gets run, but, like, I mean, I don't even think, from what I know of him, I don't even think he's like a cross-category producer like an Igor Dioman is, who also has not been really a great cross-category producer in the NBA. So I'm expecting to be great, but he's minimum salary and starting. So that's enough to get some looks.
Close. Igor Dioman.
Oh, it's not Igor?
No, it's Igor.
Oh, I didn't know. It starts with the fucking E.
Yeah.
Come on, help me out.
You got to be cultured if you want to cover the NBA these days. There's some difficult names to pronounce. Yeah, Igor Dioman from
power, Greg.
Yeah, I like. By the way,
I look like
the names are so difficult to produce, but to pronounce. I like the idea of it's like, listen, I don't have power. If the lights were on, I'd be fucking pronouncing Igor with no problem. It's the lights that are off that are the issue.
I look like people from their native countries.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, Igor Dioman. In Russia, you lose game of basketball, it costs you kidney. You choose.
Your family can't watch Daniel Tiger. That's not a good accent. The impression is gone. Please move on.
All right, let's answer some of your guys' super chats here. We've got one here from Travis. Single entry for DraftKings: Harper, Garland, Johnson, Drummond, Ball, Krejci, Allen. $5,100 left. Who's his guy? All right. So if you had $5,100 left for your last roster spot, Spags, who would you be going to? Let's see.
I mean, a Garland would. Oh, wait, no, $100 left. Wait, I'm sorry.
Where? He doesn't have where in the lineup. It's where.
Okay, so his entire lineup is there. I was like, okay, Garland's not 5,100. Yeah, where is 4,700? Yeah, that's an easy one.
Next question we've got from 1-2 Spags. This is very funny, actually. Here, we're not, it's not the nuke of the night. Instead, it is Spags. Who's the lights out play of the day? Who's just going to shut it down tonight for us, Spags? And this will just be what we call the nuke of the night today. The lights out play of the night. Who do you got for us?
I mean, so there's no rules to this, right? So like, I guess the goal of this lights out play would be to keep your power on. So I think Darius Garland will be the play that'll keep your power on today. I really strongly believe in him, especially if we're getting Tyrese Proctor starting. It's just going to be Darius Garland touching the ball a lot. So if you want to be the opposite of your pal Spags here and have power on in your house, have a fruitful experience where you know joy again, then play Darius Garland and he'll be your lights out play of the night.
So I am going to answer because there are actual no real parameters for this. Nobody's heard of the lights out play of the night. So I'm going to go the opposite way, Spags. Here's the guy who I think is going to make it so you cannot afford your electricity bill if you roster him too much today. Lonzo Ball coming off the bench doesn't bode great for his upside. I'm going to be having a massive reduction in terms of what I was expecting my exposure to Lonzo to be. Another thing too, the field is going to react to this a little bit, but we've just seen the field is not quite as sharp at NBA DFS in 2025 as it was in 2024, 2023. A lot of the sharper players have left the space a little bit, and people do not react to news in the same way right now. So I think Lonzo Ball is going to go over-owned. I'm not going to have 0% of them, but I'm going to be underweight to the field too and won't have a ton. I think if you load up on Lonzo, it's going to be hard to pay the bills tomorrow.
That's an interesting take by you. I don't think I've heard you say that on content before, that you feel like the field is dumber this year than it has been historically.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a few measurables for it. There's less 150 max players. Also, just in general, this is more like a feel thing. It's harder to the less 150 max players. That's one thing, but the other part too is you just see when there are players ruled out after lock, there was a point in time where the field is getting really efficient with late swaps, and it's just not anymore. I think the field has gotten softer this season. Also, my sim ROIs are higher.
I was gonna say, like, I'm having a really good NBA DFS season. So that probably explains it too. Like I won the 4-point play last week. Like I'm doing okay. So yeah, that checks out. I guess now that you've said it out loud.
Yeah, because it's something I always pay attention to, my post-contest sims. And yeah, when I'm playing 150 lineups this year, my sim ROIs have been higher. And I think it's large. I would like to say it's because part of it is, like our tools are always improving. Our data is always getting better. Our late swap is getting better. But I do think a big factor too is just the field has started to get a little bit softer.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, and I think too, like, and I've noticed it from my content as well, that sometimes people ignore like the fact that you use a tool like Stochastic Sim and like just get it in good without doing a whole lot of extra labor. But people almost want to do the labor more, and they make maybe worse plays as a result. There's something to that. That's a really interesting take. It's fun that you said that.
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty confident that is the current state of NBA DFS. It's not to say that it's that it's the same level of competition as it was in like 2013 or something like that. It's just, it seemed like the field was getting to this uber efficient part, and that's not. It's just regressed in a way that makes sense logically, but I guess I was a little bit surprised by first when I noticed it happening. Let's see. We've got from Nicholas wants to know Hawkes and Derek White or Colby White and Tyson over on FanDuel. That's going to be Hawkes and Derek White for me.
Yeah, I'm with Hawkes and Derek White. I think they both are pretty good, but frankly, not the biggest beneficiaries on their team. So they're kind of going under the radar for just the situations they're in, with White being in a great pace up and now Miami being down a bunch of guys. So yeah, I support that. Hawkes and Derek White.
All right. And I'm also working on getting what should be a final version of my lineups going, barring any kind of a really crazy late news. We've got Zachary Cooper wants to know top plays on FanDuel by position. And then he says #Spags light fee. All right, there we go. Thank you. He's trying to, he's starting a little bit of a GoFundMe here to get everything going. So I do not have an updated version of the Sims going here. So instead, I'll just put the boom bust data on screen here. and we could use that to help inform some of our decisions. So Spags, over on FanDuel at the point guard spot, it's really hard for me to say anybody other than Darius Garland.
Yeah, I mean, I am team Darius Garland. Honestly, if Mitchell played, I wouldn't play Darius Garland. So yeah, I'm there. He's my guy, no matter what platform.
All right, over at shooting guard. So shooting guard, we do have an uber popular Nickeil Alexander-Walker. There's also some lower owned plays at the position. A lot of our top owned guys over on FanDuel do come out as negatively leveraged in our data. I'm going to go off the board a little bit here, Spags. I like the really low owner. 11% is where Drew Smith is settled over on FanDuel. I know that he isn't starting, but if I want to go really contrarian on FanDuel and try to get different for a GPP, I like clicking on Drew Smith.
Yeah, I think Drew Smith, definitely not a crazy play on FanDuel with that price tag. I was looking at Castle for a minute. I don't think he's my guy. I would go Norman Powell. I think that he's another guy on FanDuel. The ownership is like decent at 29%, but it's not crazy. A little bit under-owned as well, 4% leverage on him. And Powell, I think, you can play him at small forward too if you want, but I think shooting guard looks particularly good.
Let's move over to the small forward position. We've got Jaime Jaquez Jr. We've got Jalen Johnson as your chalk pieces here, and I'm going to side with Jalen Johnson. There is now a lot of value on this slate. By the way, Jaquez is also a tremendous play, but there's a lot of value on this slate, and we don't have great pay-up options. Jalen Johnson's projecting about 5 fantasy points better for us than anybody else on the slate. He's another guy who it's hard for me to get away from, but in a different way than some of the other pieces, because if I'm not spending up for Jalen Johnson, it's where am I filling out my salary? So Jalen Johnson. Yeah, it's got to be Jalen Johnson, I think. I mean, look, I think that on a back-to-back, you worry a little bit more about him being closer to the 50 fantasy that he's had recently as opposed to 70 and change, but still think he's one of the better plays at small forward and again, better plays on the slate as well. Power forward, I'm going to go with Jared Allen here. He really should only be center eligible, but FanDuel's like, oh no, he's a power forward for some reason. So now you've got Jared Allen, $6,100, power forward, center eligibility, 79% owned, 85% chance of being optimal in our data. That's going to be Allen for me. Yeah, I would. Yeah, Allen at center, I'm okay with too. I mean, Jalen Johnson at power forward would also be fine. Bam Adebayo looks a little bit under-owned. I'm not crazy about him on DraftKings, but it does seem like there's a little more leverage for him here on FanDuel. So maybe Bam if you want to get lower owned, but Johnson and Allen are chalky there for a reason. And then finally at center, I'll go with Khalil Ware. Yeah, Khalil Ware, great play, both sides. Ace of Spade wants to know the best options for DK tiers. Perfect time for me to answer this question while I've got Sims running on my computer. Let's see what we've got here for DK tiers. Spags beginning in tier 1. It is Maxey, Wemby, Jalen Johnson. That is going to be Jalen Johnson for me. Yeah, Jalen Johnson is my top particular guy on the slate, so it would be him. Tier 2, Giddey, Jaylen Brown, Cat, and Brunson. That is going to be Jaylen Brown for me. Jaylen Brown for me too. We are in lockstep for the first two. Tier 3, Fox, Adebayo, Derek White, Okongwu, and Josh Hart. All right, now I have to compare some projections for guys. All right, let's see. That is going to be Derek White for me. It would be Derek. I would like to deviate from you, but these are all my projection plays too. So yeah, Derek White for me as well. Yeah, I'm just giving the right answer. Now, tier 4 is going to be super simple. Darius Garland's in the tier. It's him. I'm not even going to read you Garland, best player in the slate. Yeah, but we're in lockstep with everything else so far. Your answer is going to be him. So we'll leave it at that. Then tier 5, Vooch, Kobe White, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Peyton Pritchard, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, and then Jalen Tyson. Let's see. That is Pritchard for me. Damn it. I was hoping you were going to go Tyson, but yeah, it's Pritchard for me too. He looked good before. Again, the Heat gaining about 8 possessions and pace in this game, like really makes the guys pop in projections. For a guy like Peyton Pritchard, who like kind of relies on, more assists, more steal opportunities and usage too. Pritchard's a good play today, but yeah, he's weird. Can we deviate on something? Like one more Probably
tier, right?
Not because Jared Allen's buried in tier 6.
Yeah, Jared Allen is it.
Unless you like somebody like Kada or Buzelis more than Jared Allen.
getting unique with Nemius Queta today. It's Jared Allen. That's gonna be a real chalky tier slate, I think.
Yeah. Would appear to be, I would expect there to be quite a bunch of dupes in that. And Young Metro Boomin, he asked for FanDuel top plays at each position. We did just hit on that. So let's see. Once again, navigating some messages about Eric's nipples. Here we go. JW wants to know must-haves and contrarian pivots for DK single entry did not have the duped lineups, biggest fades and overs for Max. So good timing for this question because I just finished updating some lineups here. So in terms of, how about this? 2 favorite players to be overweight to the field 2 Spags, and your 2 favorite players to be underweight to the field 2. Who are they for yourself?
Okay, 2 players to be overweight to the field. I mean, Garland's only at 60. I'm going to be above on that, so he would be one. Where I'm also up on, again, mega chalk, but I think these guys are very good chalk, so I'll say going up on the both of them as chalky plays. Being under, and I like Jalen Johnson a lot, but back-to-back, kind of a tough matchup. And you have a lot of guys around that price range that I think could spike the ceiling you need to win a tournament. So I would go under on Jalen Johnson by a little bit. And under on Tyrese Proctor. I think I would roll the dice with Casper the Friendly Ghost on the Heat as much as I would Proctor. I think it's just, they're the same kind of cheap guy. So I'd go under on Proctor too.
Let's see. All right. So now that I've got some stuff updated here, so players to be overweight to the field too for myself at modest ownership, Naquan Tomlin, who ends up sub 10% owned in our final ownership projection here. So Tomlin and Drew Smith for me. Drew Smith is 21% owned. I like getting overweight to the field to him as well. Players I am underweight to the field to. Let's see. That is going to be for me. Lonzo Ball is one of them. His ownership has come down, but I'm still underweight to the field to him. And Jalen Tyson is one who I'm underweight to. Don't feel great about it. He's 25% on. I've got right around 10% of Jalen Tyson at $6,300. He's been really good as of late, but a lot of times on these slates that have a lot of value, it's kind of hard to find a bunch of guys to love in the mid kind of tier pricing range. A lot of lineups end up being a little bit more stars and scrubs. What do I have of Proctor? I've got Proctor in half my lineups. So I'm coming in a little bit underweight to the field here to Tyson as well. Those are a couple ones for me. 2 Cavs players, Bags.
Yeah, I mean, obviously hard to argue the Cavs side of things. Like, you have so much ownership there. If you want to just load up on the chalk, I would get it, but certainly there are ways to get creative if you want to play some Cavs too.
We also got a question here from M Grizzly. He wants to know were there any alterations we made to the Sims to set us up to be able to late swap for today. So if you're playing on the DraftKings slate, we've got all the injury news at this point. Like, there was a bunch of questionable guys. They've been ruled out at this point. If you're playing on the FanDuel slate, Anthony Edwards is still questionable, but I don't know that I'm willing to forego any of the early value to hope that, well, number one, I think Edwards plays today, but the other part of it too is even if he's out, the players are kind of priced for him to be out at this point because he's missed a little bit of time. It's a tough matchup against OKC. Not for injury news. There's nothing I'm adjusting lineups for. I assume it's the same for yourself.
Yeah, we know kind of everything we need to know. Like, we even know Proctor is starting, which would have been like the late curveball you get at 7:01 or something. So, like, I think you know everything you need to know of the slate. I don't see any reason to swap, but, never hurts to swap. Or probably like Lindquist would say the same thing, I'm sure, that swap away for the 7:30 games if you want.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be backloading lineups in the, like, what are you waiting for at this point? Let's see. The next question we have here, it is from Iron Maiden 2. And don't forget, if you guys want to get access to our Discord channel, you can sign up for any of the packages that we have here at Stochastic from the link down below in the YouTube description box. But we've got here Iron Maiden 2. Rank the pay up options from 8,900 and above. All right. So we've got, let's see. Who are all the guys 8,900 and above for today? That's going to be Jalen Johnson, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, Josh Giddey, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns. So let's sort by salary. And actually sorting by salary doesn't help us all that much because the amount of guys who are out. But as far as pay up guys, I'll looking at my exposures, I have a good amount of Jalen Johnson. I've got a good amount of Jaylen Brown. I'm overweight to the field on guys like Cat. I'm overweight to the field to Maxi, but I don't have a ton of them. It's more so they are so low owned and there's enough value that it was easy for me to get to the more of 8% ownership Cat is projected for, the 9% ownership the Maxi is projected for. So ranking the pay-up options, I'll go Jalen Johnson 1, Jalen Brown 2, Cat 3, Maxi 4.
Yeah, I've got Maxi 3. Giddy would be my 4 guy. But yeah, I think, Maxi to me, I got 2x the field. He's kind of a priority for me because I do think the spot is pretty good with the Knicks on the back-to-back and also, not having Embiid out there. But like Johnson and Brown, I think are a tier above all the other pay-up options.
By the way, Wemby still coming off the bench. We just got the starting lineup for the Spurs. Rabashua, thoughts on Vooch on FanDuel? Dropped 44 on a better version of this Cavs team the other day. If he drops 44 again, is he winning me a GPP? Probably not. There's so many good center plays that I would think that you need more of a ceiling game out of Vooch, just because, once again, let's go back over to FanDuel and sort by the center options. Remember, you've got, sorting by optimal rate, you got Jared Allen at $6,100. Khalil Ware is $5,800. Also, other guys that are ahead of Vooch. You also got Keita, who we've got projected slightly better than Vooch here as well. So your question here is 44 enough to win a GPP? I'd be happy with that score. I'm kind of skeptical it's enough to win a GPP. Vooch is also not contrarian. He's 23% owned. He is a perfectly fine play, but I think that based on what our data shows, he's worth being underweight to the field too. So don't really love him for those reasons. We've got Bando, Drew Smith not starting. Do we still like him? Yeah, there's a lot of available playing time for Miami. He's still viable for me. He asked about pay-up options, which we just hit on. Cream says he just got off work, so missed most of the stream. Is there a reason that Spags is sitting in the dark looking like a serial killer? Yes, he's on the run from the law. Win wants to know thoughts on DeAndre Hunter on FanDuel for 5K. So more opportunity for him because of Donovan Mitchell being out, but it seems he's fallen out of favor maybe a little bit in Cleveland. A lot of that's because Tyson surpassed him on the depth chart. Just a guy for me on this slate. I don't have any super strong DeAndre Hunter takes. I'm not loading up on him or anything.
Yeah, no, same page. He was a guy that in the beginning of the year looked really good, and I don't know what the deal is, but he kind of lost his confidence part of this hot run, and then also, Mobley being back in, and Tomlin also took some minutes from him a few times. He can get there. He's better than I think he showed, but he's definitely kind of in no man's land with how he's been playing lately.
Then we've got here from Brandon, Hawkes or Vassell for today. Hawkes over Vassell. Hawkes over Vassell. That's an easy one. I'm going to speak for Spags on that too. Tie Fighter. Yeah. Tie Fighter. Last guy in on FanDuel. Okoro, Krejci, Tomlin. That'll be Tomlin for me over Okoro and Krejci.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Krejci's not a bad play, but I think that Tomlin is the better play by a decent margin.
Yeah, lots of accent marks in Vit Krejci's name. We just kind of know how to pronounce his name because we've heard him for a while, but he's got a C with a hat on it. He's got an I with a slant for a dot over the top. He's got all kinds of things going on in the spelling of his name. Let's see. Did that get all of the questions? Yes. All right, cool. We covered the super chats. We covered the question in Discord just in time for the show to end. So if you guys enjoyed the show, or maybe you didn't, still do this anyway. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also, if you want more betting content throughout the weekend from myself and all the other guys here at Stochastic, go download the Tails app. There's a link down below in the YouTube description box that'll download the app. If you go right there, that'll bring you to the Google Play Store, iPhone Store, wherever it is that you own a phone there. So download the app. It's totally free. So there's no reason for you to not check it out. I'm posting bets there constantly. Bets from the Portfolio EV tools. I've also been building out a lot of fun same-game parlays, Spags, and I do write-ups with them. They're all correlated. They've got some sort of story attached to them, why I'm betting them. The one I bet today, it was overs on Cavs players with the Bulls +7 under the assumption I thought Donovan Mitchell was going to sit. So we got way ahead of some of those lines. I got Bulls +7. What is that line now? +5 or something like that? Let's see. What is it? It is now Bulls +4.5. So we got Bulls +7 when it's +4.5 now. We got Darius Garland over 22.5 points. It's probably 24.5 or something now. It is, let's see, what is Darius Garland's points prop now? Well, actually, it's kind of surprising. Still 22.5. I thought Garland's points prop would have gone up more. It was plus money when I had it in the parlay. Now it's minus money, minus 120. But I thought Garland's points prop would have been like 24.5 or 25.5. But either way, check out all the stuff I'm doing on Tails, and Eric and Josh and Lofty and DK, who was on earlier. We're all posting stuff over on Tails, and you guys should go check it out for free. Download the app down below. Thank you guys very much for watching. And if you guys don't see Spags again, just assume that the police caught him and that he is no longer on the run, and that listen, you can't get away forever. They're coming after you. Guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you on the channel tomorrow. Later.